When I was a party host at Chuck E. Cheese, I used to hear the most depressing news of all time from the children. One time, I was a party host for this kid named Angelica. Angelica had told me and said, you know, this is one of the few times where I'm happy to be awake. And I said, whoa, this kid is 12 years old. I said, why is this one of the few times where you're happy to be awake, Angelica? It was my job to talk to the kids and hang out with them as they play games and give them extra tokens. That was my job. She said, at nighttime, I stay up really late because that's the only time I feel like I can be myself because nobody yells at me. I like this because my grandma organized the party and it feels nice. That's the most depressing news I've ever heard in my life, Angelica. But here's what I'm about to do. I'm about to grab you any price you want from the prize counter, whatever you want. Ask my manager if I could do that. And Angelica didn't want anything big. She didn't want one of the big ticket items. She said she wanted one mystery flavor Airhead because she's never had an Airhead in her life because she wasn't allowed to eat candy like that. And I said, okay. And I gave her the Airhead. And she was so happy. I thought she was going to get hyper, over the wall, jump around. She said, this is amazing. You're a kind person. And I said, thank you. I tried my best. After the party, I thought about it. I thought about everything. The person tipped me $22. I thought about how sad it was that she can only feel herself when she is at night, where nobody else can see her. She only stays up at night simply because she can be herself truly and enjoy the indulgence stuff that she wants to enjoy in. I thought about that deeply. It makes me sad to even recount that information. It makes me feel like garbage. You ever think that the reason that we stayed up at night as kids is because we felt at peace, because there was no chaos? The world was quiet around, the sun was down, and everything made us feel correct. You ever think about that? I think about that now. Ever since I met Angelica at that party randomly one time, only saw her once in my life ever, a 12-year-old changed my entire life because she had pointed out something so drastically depressing, that she felt her most true, authentic self when nobody was around and nobody could yell at her. Under the covers, playing my Nintendo DS and my PSP, I think in those moments, I truly understood what it was like to understand true soliloquy and peace, to look around and see no one else yelling at me, nobody being mad at me, nobody telling me I messed up, nobody telling me I should clean my room, nobody chastising me for making a mistake every child makes, me not having to burn my hand making a grilled cheese because I didn't know how to make grilled cheese, and my family being mad at me for messing up the kitchen and burning the bread because we didn't have that much money because nobody decided to teach me how to make a grilled cheese. So much was going on. And I think about those instances in which so many parents say, I'm a great parent. It's hard to be a parent, I understand that, it's difficult. But it's not that hard to be patient and kind with somebody that doesn't know anything. And I don't think I got that much patience and kindness when I grew up. And I hope wherever Angelica is, she's getting patience and kindness from wherever she's getting it at. I really do. I hope she gets that grace in her life. I really do hope that. Do you know you have the ability to leave a marriage? You know you have the ability to leave any relationship you want to? I've been hearing a lot of my friends say, oh, I can't leave because I live with them. I can't leave because of X, Y, and Z. You can leave for whatever reason you want to. You don't even need to give a valid explanation for the most part. You can just leave a situation that is making you uncomfortable, or if you feel like you are not being respected in that situation, unless you thoroughly feel like that person can change, or the individual or situation can change in some way that will help you out in the long run. You don't have to stay in a relationship or a situation. One of my friends right now is going through a horrible, evil, vitriolic situation in which they are disabled and cannot work, and their lover provides basically all of what they have in this lifetime. They provide a home, shelter, things like that. They call me on Discord and they say, I'm so stuck right now. I don't know what to do. I said, leave. They said, I don't have anywhere to go. And I said, leave. And they said, where do I go? I said, I don't know. But when I was in a bad situation, when I was suffering, getting abused by my ex, you know what I did? I lived outside. I went homeless. And it wasn't a fun time being homeless either. It was November. It was cold. It was frigid. It was horrible. I hated every minute of it. It sucks. But I left, and I was mentally better for it. And she said, oh, but my parents hate me and everybody hates me and things like that. Well, that seems like the issue is you. Yeah, that issue is you, not me or the person in the situation. The issue is you, my friend. The issue is primarily with you. If everybody hates you, then the only consistent value in that is you. Then they hung up the Discord call because they hated me for that, and I respect that. You can leave a marriage. Just because you are married does not mean you have to go through every single issue with them. Marriage doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things. Oh, marriage, that means you gotta stick it out and tough it out because you're doing it under God. No, you psychopath. No, you can just leave. Because if somebody is abusing you, somebody is ruining you, oh, it's just a little bit of abuse, it's a little bit of mental torture, you decided to get married. Yeah, because they decided to show themselves after I got married to them. They decided to show how they truly are after I got married. And after I got married, now I have to deal with the real them, and that sucks. You can just leave the situation. There is no need to do that. I've seen a lot of people say, oh, well, marriage means that you can't leave because you have a legally binding vow under God. No. When you added the state and God, you should separate church and state indefinitely. I don't know why you're doing that in this lifetime and context. In marriage, God doesn't care that you're married. God cares so little that you're married. God does not care what you do. He really doesn't. He gave us free will, right? Didn't God give you free will? Why are you using that as an out to stay in an abusive situation because you're scared to leave because you are a coward yourself? Why are you being a coward to yourself? Why are you not valuing yourself? That is so sad to me. That you have decided to devalue yourself as a human being. You have decided to do that. You have decided to tell yourself that you don't deserve happiness, love, or joy because you decided to stay in a worthless marriage that means nothing to no one besides you. It's worthless. It's nothing. It doesn't mean anything. If you're in an abusive situation, if you're in an abusive relationship, you're in an abusive marriage, leave. Even if you have nowhere to go, oh, he's my sole provider. Oh, I can't live without him. Oh, leave. You are hurting not only you, but you're hurting the people around you because they got to hear it. They got to hear the nonsense you go through. They got to hear the nonsense. They got to hear everything you go through. They got to hear, oh, man, he hit you again. Oh, he mentally abused you again. Oh, he's doing this or oh, he's doing that. Why don't you leave? Oh, well, we got a lease together and nope, leave. You got any kids together? I do have a kid with him. Well, take the kid and go. Fight him. Fight him in court. Do that. I'm sure you'll win if you validate proof. If you record the proof, you can do that. Fight her. Fight her. If she's abusing you, do it in court. I'm sure you'll win. It wouldn't even be that difficult. Everything can be recorded. Everybody can see it. Only address him in public. Do that. Fight back. Abuse him back. I don't care. Do something back. Do something chaotic back. I am so sick of seeing people that think they have nowhere to go and nothing to do. You always have a choice to leave. Always. I don't care if you keep telling me, oh, guess what? I'm not going to do that. No. You can always leave. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you feel like. I don't care what you think. I don't care if you think you're disabled. I don't care if you know you're disabled. I don't care about none of that. You have the option to get out of any bad situation by simply leaving. And if you don't, you are scared, and I understand, but I'm going to call you a coward because you don't have enough faith to believe in yourself and love yourself like you're supposed to. Get better, get help, get out. I discovered that I can't be friends with rappers. One time, my homegirl, she had a diss track written about her, so she gets in my car and she gets the aux. She's like, can I get the aux? I'm like, sure, you know what? Usually I don't let people get the aux. I like to play my own playlist, but I let her get the privilege of having the aux. So she gets the aux and she playing some bangers. She playing like Brent Faiyaz, SZA, she playing some things. Then she play a song I never heard before, and it bangs hard. I was like, oh, dang. She's like, you like that? And I was like, yeah, she's vibing with it too. And then I was singing the chorus with it. And then she was like, stop the car. I was like, stop the car. My boogie down immediately went down. I was confused. I was like, what's going on? What's happening? You okay? She said, this is a diss track about me. I said, oh. And she said, you liked it? I said, like is subjective. Objectively, this song bangs. I ain't gonna lie. I couldn't tell a lie. I'm Abraham Lincoln. I can't do that. And she said, he wrote it because I broke up with him and he was living with me and now he's homeless and now he wrote this and he's getting like money from this song now because of his streams. I'm like, oh, you saved his life. Low key, you fixed his career. But this song slaps crazy. And she said, I don't think it's that good. So I tested her theory. I said, okay, it's probably not that good. I rolled down the windows and I played it at a stoplight and I banged it up. And the dude was like, and I was like, the public seems to enjoy it. And I think I made her situation worse, perhaps. I perhaps should have not done that. That was probably a ill-fated move on my behalf. I probably should have maybe kept it to myself. And then she was like, it's not that good. But I'm a scientist. I got to test my theory and hypothesis. I got to get peer-reviewed studies. So I tested it again. We're at another stoplight. I was like, all right. I bumped the music up. Just turn it up a little bit more. And angry looking black dude, looks like he likes old head rap, looks at me. He's like, oh, what's that? Hey. And he Shazams the song. I was like, oh, no, he Shazam that. That's Captain Marvel. You're done.
That's DC. That's Shazam. He called the wizard for that one. That's impossible. You can't really recover from that. She started crying. I didn't know what to do. Later, she made a big Facebook post about me, and she was like, Saros is a bad friend. He's evil. He makes fun of your situations and plights and makes your situations worse. And I'm like, that does sound like me. I'm not going to lie to you, especially if it bang. And everybody was like, what happened? What did he do? Everybody's curious. She was like, he said this was a good song when it's a diss track about me. She got ratioed in her own post. I never seen it before. She got ratioed in her own post. Everybody was like, this song does bang. I'm sorry it's a diss track, but this is the center of the sun. This is pure heat. This is insane. Just start blocking people. It was really bad. I ain't gonna lie, that was a really bad situation. I can't be in rap beef. I'm not good. I'm not good at this. You're not doing activism by interacting or rage bait. If you see something that agitates you online and you decide to argue with the person trying to convince them of your side, you're not doing activism. It's not important to do so. You're not changing their mind. You've been a child before, I imagine. You ever not finish your food and then your mother or dad says there are children starving in Africa, but you can't physically finish the food and then they hit you? Does that make you feel better? Is that really what happens? That's what you're doing online when you argue with these people. That's all that's happening. They obviously don't want to change their mindset. They're doing it to get a reaction out of you. You're not doing activism by interacting with these people. You are interacting with them, and they're getting money for every comment you put. They're getting money for siphoning your life clock. That's all that's happening. You're wasting your precious little time on this small little blue marble. You're wasting every second of it because every time you see somebody that says, well, trans people don't deserve to exist. As soon as they say that, you're like, I'm trans, and I have to argue now. Don't. Just ignore them. Ignore them. Walk away. Walk away from the battle. It's okay. You have the freedom. You have free will to walk away from the battle. You can do so. Because it's not a battle. It's not a war. You don't have to get your pitchfork, destroying Frankenstein's monster, attack Victor. Victor is the real issue. Who's Victor? Advertisers. The bigger complex. The trolling industrial complex. Let's call it that. It is happening all around you, and you are just actively being a part of it. You're arguing on Twitter with a blue check mark. They getting paid for every comment, dude. Stop doing that. That's weird. Why are you doing it? Is that fun for you? Is that weird? Stop interacting with rage bait. Stop it. Genuinely stop it. It doesn't do anything for anyone. It just gives the other person money. That's all it does. I'm going to say it again. You are not doing activism by interacting with bait. Do you know what the act of trolling came from? It came from fishing. The act of trolling, the trolling a line, when you fish, you troll the line. That's actually why it's called trolling. And they are baiting you along so you get captured into an argument, and that argument drains you mentally, and they're going to go to bed sleepy. Oh, every comment is 2 cents, and you left 100 comments. Oh, that's $2. Oh, they're going to be so happy. And they're going to keep doing it too. You're going to say, this is the same guy. This is the same guy that did it yesterday. That's right, liberal. That's right, righty. That people on the right do it, people on the left do it, everyone does it. Because people don't want to have nuanced discussions. They want to have their opinion be said and you to listen to it and you to agree to it. And they don't want to hear your opinion. That's all they want. They don't want to have any conversation, no nuance, nothing. They don't care about any of that. That's all they want. And it is so sad and it is so depressing and it ruins me so much. I beg of you, if you are stuck in this loop and it makes you sad and you receive nothing but negative news, stop interacting with negative media. Stop interacting with things that mentally drain you because you're going to keep doing it. You're not getting motivated to do anything. You're going to ruin your life doing so. Stop it, stop it, stop it.
When I was a hiring manager at my old job, I was always instructed to never truly fire somebody, but soft fire them so it didn't give them severance pay. So, to avoid severance pay for a lot of people, we would do these things called, we would give them less hours during the week. If they gave their 2 weeks notice, we would take them off the schedule, even if they gave the notice, things like that. So one time, a really bad incident happened. Somebody was talking about leaving the job. They said, I don't want to work here anymore. I think I should find another place. So my boss heard that and said, hey, KK, come here. I said, what's going on? What's cracking? Said, could you give that person about 7 hours a week? And I said, they usually do 42. We need that person. That person's really important to the company. He said, yeah, but they're talking about leaving. I said, good for them. We'll find somebody else, but I don't think I should give them less hours because they're talking about going to a different job. And they say, yeah, but they're going to leave anyway. Might as well just cut their hours a little bit, right? And I said, you know what, you're right. Okay, I'll do it. I didn't want to lose my job because I'm still needed to have money. So I start cutting their hours. They come to me. They say, hey. I said, what's going on? They said, I noticed I've gotten 7 hours next week. I said, yeah, we got to cut back on labor. I'm sorry about that. And they said, no, this is Strange, did you hear me talking about getting a new job? I said, you're getting a new job? I'm lying to his face. I said, you're getting a new job? Whoa, I had no idea. He said, you're being sarcastic. I said, a little bit. I know you're getting a new job, but we really are cut back on labor. I had to lie to his face. I just straight lied to him. He said, okay, understandable. Next day, he just stopped showing up. And then we didn't have to give him severance pay because he left without giving a 2 weeks notice or anything of that variety. It's in our company policy. You got to give 2 weeks notice or something of that variety. That's a little bit messed up. Another person said, I'm leaving to give my 2 weeks notice. So my boss instructed me to not give them any hours. It just said, hey, just take them out the schedule. I said, what? It said, they're leaving in 2 weeks. We don't need them. Take them out the schedule. We can get at somebody else. We can start looking for people. Put an ad on Indeed or something like that so we can get some information. So I put an ad on Indeed. They saw the ad on Indeed and said, hey, I noticed my position's opening up. I gave 2 weeks notice. And I noticed I don't see myself in the schedule. And I said, well, that's because you're leaving. So we just took you off the schedule because you're leaving already. And they said, well, I still need money for the 2 weeks because I don't start my new job for another 2 weeks. And said, well, you can spend this 14 days, having fun. He said, well, I still got rent to pay. And I said, well, we're not going to fire you. You gave me 2 weeks notice. And they said, well, if you fire me, I get severance pay. And I said, yeah, you would get that. But you already gave her 2 weeks notice. So they're pissed. They're absolutely mad. They're yelling and ranting and raving. And we end up getting out the severance pay because they're angry at me. And we actually end up being able to cut a little bit of the pay because in our policy, we stated that. There were a lot of manipulative tactics that a lot of my managers did. And I'll admit that I did a lot of manipulative tactics too because I needed to maintain my position in the company. I'm not going to act like I was some saint or some savant. I needed to make sure I had food at home. And I needed to make sure life was going good. So the pandemic happened. Everything went bad. Our company closed down. I was in a debt collection agency. Everything went bad in that front. Everything just went horrible that way. When I was a hiring manager, I tell you this with my whole chest. Every decision I made was influenced by somebody much higher than me that gave me a horrible suggestion. We wouldn't hire somebody based on literally ethnicity. We wouldn't hire certain people because they seem lazier. We notice a slack in workmanship, we give them significantly less hours. We heard them talking to HR. We heard them talking, hey, guess what? I'm thinking about, finding another job. The HR person would tell us because our company was so messed up, and they would do that. And I'm thinking this is just this one company. There are so many companies that I've worked for as either a hiring manager or somebody that's a supervisor that genuinely do these tactics. Chuck E. Cheese did it. The Saivo Theater did it. A lot of corner stores do it. They would just give less hours off virtue of just secondary information that you get with no real evidence or things of backing. And that's crazy and messed up. That is horrible and evil. I think that's the worst thing you can do on the planet. I think it's messed up to do that. I recommend if you yourself are putting in your 2 weeks notice, just don't do it. Just leave the job whenever you get the other job. Don't put a 2 weeks notice in. I know you're thinking like, oh, they're going to call my previous job. You could just not put your previous job on your resume or not allow them to contact your previous job. You could do that. Or put on your resume friends who you can lie about being your boss. I'm just giving you advice right there. Just do something different.
I don't trust people that haven't been evil in their stories. If you're telling me a story and you're always the good guy in the story, I don't trust it. And I don't mean, oh, I didn't say this, didn't do that. I mean, I need you to tell me something you've done that's explicitly evil. Because I don't believe you made it this far in life. I'm 28. Most of my friends, at least up at the age of 20, you've at least done one evil thing. Maybe you didn't tip. Maybe you parked somewhere where you didn't pay the meter. Something of that variety. Something a little bit nefarious. Maybe you accidentally took some bubble gum. But if you're telling me that, oh, yeah, my ex was yelling at me and I stayed there and remained calm. You got heated when we played Halo. You didn't stay calm. I know you didn't. As a matter of fact, when you hear someone yell at you and you think, I can see the anger in your eyes getting ready to yell. Because we're in public and seeing that. I can see it. You can follow it up with a statement such as, well, I'm not like that anymore. That's fair. Well, that's realistic. Thank you. Appreciate that. But if you're good in every single story, no way. I don't trust that. I'm not believing that. I need to hear you say something diabolical, messed up, Megatron statements, Saturday morning cartoon Skeletor levels of diabolicalness is what I want to hear. I want to hear you say something I never really even conceived. Because that's how you know you can trust me. You tell me something evil and I'm still your friend, guess what? We locked in. We boys. I need to see you in your worst moment. I didn't need to know how you operate in your worst moment. Because if you don't, I'm bringing the worst moment to you and see how you operate. Because you didn't tell me anything. I'm going to think you can handle everything. You're always good in all situations. So now I got to see if you're actually the best person on the planet on God. A lot of people think they're politically correct all the time. I don't trust that. I don't trust they're good all the time. I don't trust in every instance. They're listening to a rap song. I don't think that they're listening saying, "What up, ma?" And then they blurt it out in their head. Nope, they say it in their head. Just like, go ahead, say it. Go ahead. Tell me you've thought it. Because there's got to be a point where you've thought the word. There's got to be a point where you've been evil in some ways. You can say, well, I don't, it doesn't make me feel comfortable, makes me feel gross, makes me feel icky. Does it, the word? My boy said, yeah, but that's for you. Cool. Okay. It could be for me, but it can make you feel the kind of way. Just let me know. You want to be a goody two-shoes all the time. I know in your head that you've misgendered somebody. That's okay. Just let me know. I want to know. I'm here for you. This is the real world. You're not online. I'm not going to cancel you. I'm not going to destroy. I'm not going to tell everybody your secrets. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to use your name if I do, by the way. Don't worry. I just want to know what evil thing you've done because I'm open. I'm a book. You can trust in me. I'm easy to talk to. I'm your best friend. I'm the guy that you tell the worst, darkest, evil, most depraved secrets to. Because guess what? Much like Toy Story, you got a friend in me. So I'm here for you. For you, Paige. I'm here for you. Come on. Tell me what you got. Because I'm so sick of seeing people say, I was calm, I was reasonable, I was kind, I was this. When in every other instance, I've seen them, they're not. So just stop lying to yourself. Stop lying to me. Just come on. Tell me something bad. Tell me something bad.
When I was younger, I convinced one of those door-to-door Christians to actually quit doing the door-to-door nonsense. So, I had just arisen from my slumber, much like Dracula or Alucard, and I approached the door. I didn't know somebody was coming up to the door, but I felt a presence. Somehow the Spirit of God told me to do this exact thing. This may have been my task for the day. And I hear, knock, knock, knock. Oh, I'm excited. Didn't have breakfast yet, nothing in my stomach, but I was seeing who was at my door. I usually don't get visitors. So I opened the door because I don't have a peephole way to look through. I open the door and I see a guy in a button-up with a book. He looks really excited and jovial. His hair is slicked back and it is 9 o'clock in the morning. So I'm really confused. So I open the door and I say, what's cracking? And he says, howdy. Are you the owner of the house? I said, I am the owner of this establishment. What's cracking? What's going on, buddy? He said, are you saved? And I said, am I saved? Yeah, I'm not in danger right now. He said, no, are you saved by the Lord? I said, oh, I don't know. Enlighten me. I was bored. I wanted to see what he had to say. He said, perfect. And he said, may I come in? And I said, nah, it was cold outside. It was cold. It was probably like 22 degrees Fahrenheit. I was like, no, you can tell me right there. I don't like people in my house. Just explain what's going on. I could tell he was really cold. Because he just had gloves and earmuffs on and a little thing, but his arms weren't as protected. He only had like one layer at the very least. I was in my warm, comfortable, nice house. And he explained to me about religion. He had this little pamphlet he was explaining to me. And I said, okay, so God is in everything. He said, yes. I said, I thought God was everything. He said, no, God is in everything. He exists in the trees, the forest, and the air. And I said, he exists inside Mike Tyson? And he said, sure, he can exist inside Mike Tyson. If he exists inside Mike Tyson, that means he has allegations against him, right? And I said, what? So God has allegations against him? He said, no, everything that's good is God. Everything that is not good is not God. The opposite of God is not good. I said, the opposite of God is not good. Okay. But if God is in everything, that means he is in every illicit substance. And he said, what? Yeah, everything. He should be in everything. You said God is in everything. What determines something good or bad? He said, well, if it's God, it's good. So God is in everything. He said, yeah. And we went back this loop for like good 30 minutes. And he was getting freezing. You could tell he was getting cold because his body started to get red. I was like, oh my goodness, are you okay, sir? He said, yeah, I'm fine. I just want to make sure you understand. And then he tried to leave. You know, he wasted my time. He tried to leave. He said, well, here, I'm going to hand you this pamphlet, and you just come up the street to First Met. No, don't do that. No. I want to hear more about what you got to say. Let's read a scripture right now. Read a scripture to me. He said, I apologize, but it's really cold. I said, well, this is God's mission. Well, this is God's mission to convince me right now. Are you going to deny God's mission? He said, well, I know God's mission. I was like, can you hear him? He said, what? I said, can you hear him right now? Because I can hear him. And he says, I need to learn about this. I want to know, are you going to stop a young, youthful, impressionable mind about this? He said, and he started reading more. He was there for like good 30 more minutes. And he said, I'm not going to lie to you. He stopped his whole good guy acting there. He said, I'm not going to lie to you. I don't want to do this. And I said, why? He said, I don't want to do this. This is community service in my church. Never mind. And he just walks away. And I said, coward. And he said, yeah, whatever. I'll ruin this guy's day. I was so happy. I was so happy. There's a local restaurant called Savant's. It's an amazing place. They have a great amount of pastries. It's a nice little coffee shop. I go there at about 8 o'clock in the morning on most days, or at least I used to. Now I don't, simply because of one employee, a very flamboyant man. His name was Jason. Jason took my order one day. I go there, I sit down, I look around, I see nobody is in the store besides me because in the morning they open at 7:30. Very odd time. I don't think you should open at 30-minute increments, but who am I to judge? I'm not a business owner. I sit down, I look around, I say, Jason, how are you doing today? He says, I'm doing absolutely fantastic. So we have a new seasonal flavor this month. It's pumpkin spice. He explains seasonal flavors, doing things that waiters do. And I say, no, thank you. I think I'll get what I usually get. I simply want a scone and the sweetest coffee you have, which is the vanilla coffee. Specifically, it's just called vanilla coffee. It's called very, very vanilla. So I get my vanilla coffee. I pull out my phone, I watch some things on YouTube, and I dip my scone inside the coffee, having a good time. So, I am just sitting there waiting, and there's nobody else in the store. And I can hear everything. There's no noise. I just hear the outside, I hear birds chirping, and then I hear in the background, I hear Jason say, oh my God, he looks like he's homeless, look at him. And I look to the right, and he looks at me and says, oh, and walks away. And I said, well, no tip for him. So, I get my stuff, pay my bill, leave. 2 days later, I come back. Jason again. Hi, Jason, how are you doing? I don't know if he knows that I know that he called me that I look homeless, but he looks more disgruntled today. He looks angry. I'm very confused. I sit down, get my very, very vanilla coffee, and then I get my scone. I watch some YouTube videos, and he just looks at me angry like this. I'm very confused. So, a week passes. I come back. I do this for about, 3 more weeks. And he's just more angry and ornery. So one day he comes up, he notices I'm the only person in here, and he says to me, is there any reason why you don't tip? And I look at him and say, because you call me homeless. I heard you. And he said, well, that was one time. And I say, well, it hurt my feelings. And I don't want to give money to somebody who hurt my feelings. Then he gets like really angry and snippy. He says, oh, okay, all right, I understand. And the next time I'm there, he's not there. And then next time I come there, he's not there. So I come the third time, he's there. And he says, hi, I would like to apologize for, and I say, no. No, the only apology is change behavior. I do not wish to accept an apology from you. I don't want it. So I say, let me speak to Abdul, because Abdul is the owner of the shop. I say, Abdul, when you hired Jason and he's very rude to me. And he says, Abdul looks at me and says, oh, you are my favorite customer. What did he say? He said I look homeless. Now, this is one instance of one time, but I was going to let it go. I just wasn't going to tip him. I was going to let it go. That's all I was going to do. I'll tip everybody else. Jessica, you know who you are. Respect you. You know you get 40% every time I'm there. Even if I don't buy anything, I'll still tip you just because I appreciate you, Jessica. Everyone else, besides Jason, I would tip. Abdul says, let me go speak to Jason. So he speaks to Jason, and then Jason comes to me after he gets spoken to and says, you really are going to snitch like that? Okay. And I'm like, what? I'm a customer, dude. I know I feel it may sound entitled in some capacity, but it's 8 in the morning. I don't want to be insulted as soon as I wake up. I just want to get some coffee and a scone. That's all I want. And then Jason just waits until after work and then proceeds to just hound me, like, afterwards. Because he followed me to, like, I stayed around the corner from the shop. He followed me and just, like, hounded me and waited. It was, like, a very weird stalkerish behavior. So I told Abdul again. And Abdul spoke to him and said, we will deal with this. We will very much deal with this. Fired you, Jason. And Jason, if you ever see this video, I know that this may upset you, but I still don't care. Still don't care that you're fired. I don't. It's not my fault. Learn to be nice. That's just a regular thing. Learn to be kind. Like, I was just weird and ornery. Weird for no reason. Weird. You ever have somebody that just dislikes you just for existing? They don't know anything about you. They just despise your pure soul just because you exist and be who you are. Well, guess what? I let somebody like that stay at my house. Very, very young guy. Younger than me at the time. 3 years younger. I'd say that as if I'm some ancient wizard of something of that variety. He approached me after
Everybody had told me he had been talking behind my back. He had been talking S about me. He had been destroying my reputation. And he approached me as a last-ditch effort and said, hey, I know you have an apartment. I know this is going to sound weird considering we barely ever speak, but could I please stay at your apartment? I'm down on my luck and need to get out of my situation. I said, sure. Didn't even question it. I knew he'd been talking mess about me. I knew he'd been saying these horrible vitriolic things about me. I had no problem with him staying in my living room. I said, you can stay with me. The only stipulation I have is that you do the dishes. That's it. Nothing else. I didn't want him to do anything else. I just said, if you do the dishes, you can stay there. He said, oh, thank you. I need this really bad. I said, sure. He comes over, brings all of his stuff. He says, where do I sleep? And I said, you're sleeping in the living room. He said, oh, sweet. And it was a big living room. And he said, okay, thanks, man. I appreciate you doing this for me. First 3 days wasn't that bad. We learned about each other. We talked. He said, do you smoke? I said, no. He said, then what do you do all day? I showed him I play Dark Souls. We had a great time. I showed him Dark Souls. We played UFC 2. And he had an amazing time just enjoying my presence. We became pretty okay friends. After this, a week passes. The dishes are piling up. I say, RJ, you going to do those dishes? He said, man, I get to him. I got to get a job first, and I'm stressing about that. And I said, okay. So dishes pile up some more. I get some dish soap. I am just like, well, dishes are piling up. I end up getting gnats everywhere. I said, dishes are still piling up. Now, this is a very important stipulation. I didn't charge him rent. No rent. Nothing of that variety. I didn't do that. That's not what I did. That wasn't what I cared to do. I didn't care to charge rent. Didn't want to do that. So he proceeded to still not wash the dishes. A month passes, and I get in there and I wash the dish, and I say, listen, all I'm going to do this one time. Could you please wash the dishes? I just pay rent. I'm tired from work. He said, okay, hey, all right. I go in my room, play my games, and then he makes a Facebook post about me as if I couldn't see it, saying my roommate is horrible, still talking mess about me. I didn't even address it. I didn't stand on business at all. There was no business I was standing on. I was not a CEO at the top of a corporate entity. I was not standing on business. And then afterwards, he still proceeded to not wash the dishes. And then he complained, and his girl would come over, and they would sleep on the couch. And I said, do you want to get a bed? And he said, nah, I'm good. He just was not trying to get a job, not trying to do anything. He was having a hard go at life. He didn't have a car. He just needed a place to stay. And I said, don't worry about it. 2 months passed. Well, in total 3 months. 1 month passed, and then 2 more months passed. He proceeded to not do anything, not try to get the job. He said he was going to get a car. Everything fell through. It was a person just making countless excuses for themselves over and over and over again. And then, as he left, he tried to call me out and saying, you're an evil person. You're just doing this because you like being around miserable people. And instead of looking inward and changing something that he could have changed, it was much easier to focus the hate on someone else. Because that's easier to do, to bring somebody down to your level. It seems to be the easier solution to do. And I said, you're right, I am evil. I'm evil enough to let you stay here and let you do nothing. So I'm horrifically evil. And I meant it too. It wasn't me being sarcastic or condescending. I genuinely meant it. I'm evil. Because only a truly evil person would allow somebody to wallow in their own self-pity and do nothing about it. He left. And I still saw him after that. I actually gave him rides to his job at Amazon quite some times. It was weird. It was strange. It was odd. And I'm pretty sure to this day, he still talks behind my back. And if he ever asks for help, I still would give him help. Why would I do this? I don't know. I really don't know.
I checked my friend's Facebook page and he passed away. I haven't talked to my friend in about 4 years. I'm just thinking to myself, man, he must have unfriended me. Usually he would like a status or something like that. That's what I was thinking to myself. Usually he'd comment something and I'd ignore it. And I was expecting that comment. I was expecting that. I posted some banger funny statuses. I said to myself, man, nobody's really appreciated that. I had one fan and he was the one fan. And I was really looking forward to that. Never messaged him. Never communicated him. Didn't play any video games with him. I just enjoyed the person that liked my status. 3 months ago, I noticed the downfall. 3 months ago, when he exited this corporeal existence, I said, oh, well, that's a little bit strange. I'm on the page and it said in memory of, I'm like, oh, in memory Oh, gee whiz. Well, I do remember him, and that's why I checked up on him, but I didn't check up on him fast enough. That messed me up a little bit. Immediately hit up his mom and said, hey, how you holding up? She's confused. She said, about what? She thinks I'm a bill collector because she's barely interacted with me. She doesn't know who I am. I said, about, your son. I immediately brought up a horrible memory and made her cry. I didn't realize that so much time passed that she had forgotten about it. 3 months? That doesn't seem like that long to me. That's a trial period. 90-day trial period, that's the time it takes to get hired into the job. I assumed she was already on the same level of I was. Like, I'm shocked. I was hoping we had the same level of shocked. I brought it back, so now I had somebody to cry with because misery loves company. And now I got the comforter. We're having a great time with that, and that's nice. That's good. So I sadly reminded his mom of the passing. She's insanely sad now. She's telling me, why did you remind me of his passing? Why did you remind me that he was gone? I said, I apologize. I just wanted to check up on you. I want to make sure things were good. And she said, I'm fine. I just didn't expect that. I said, it's okay. Would you like to get some coffee? Because I just wanted to catch up and figure out how he passed. I didn't have any of the details. I also didn't want to look at the obituary because I'm lazy. I'd much rather get some coffee, get some free coffee too, because she offered to pay. So we go to get some coffee. She's having a horrible time. She says, I don't think I've ever seen you come around out. I said, yeah, I was one of the hidden friends. We're more internet friends more than anything, but we did go to school together. And she said, I don't think I ever saw you at the school. I said, that makes sense too, because I don't mean went to school together. When we were in school, we knew each other. He went to a different school. And she said, what school did you go to? I said, that's not important. That's completely unimportant. Let's talk about his life. Let's remember him. Let's remember what he did. How did he pass? And she said, you don't want to know. I said, yes, I do. She said he Boy Scout rope tied himself and then kicked the old chair. I said, okay, my bad. Okay, that's news for me. News for me. Didn't know that was going to happen. She said, yeah, it was really sad. A worthless woman broke his heart. I said, oh, that's okay. Didn't expect that either. Didn't know what was going on. So my friend had exited this dimension by virtue of his own doing. That was news to me. I said, okay, entered another world. Isekai, I got you. And she said, what does isekai mean? I said, it's when you go to another world after you pass. And she said, like heaven? I said, basically, a bit more fun than heaven, I feel, but that's what I feel like it was a good thing to say. Better than heaven. He's in some place better than heaven. And she said, how do you know that? Did he talk about God with you? And I said, well, we didn't talk that much. At all. We didn't talk that much. But I do want to point out that I remember him. And he is deeply in my thoughts and prayers and my memory at this current point in time. At this exact moment, I'm thinking about him the most right now. Mostly because this is new information for me. I didn't suspect that. I feel like I should have had a closer relationship to this person. I feel like I should have talked to him. I feel like we could have had a communication, a buddy little system, something like that. I missed the person that would like the status, and that felt empty without it. It's kind of like inviting somebody out to a party and having them stand in the corner, but you always invite them out to the party despite the fact they don't interact with anybody. They're always there, just in the corner chilling. That's the relationship I had with this person. That's what I thought I was going to have for most of my life. I thought I was going to go into our teen years until I eventually invite him as my +1 to my wedding. And he says, can I come? And I said, yeah, this is the first conversation we've ever had. Of course. You're my best man. That's how I thought it was going to happen, but he's gone now. That was just sad. Very sad. One time I didn't want to clean my apartment. It was very annoying, messy, and I had a roommate who genuinely never cleaned. But there was one time he did clean. It was when somebody was coming over. Primarily somebody that he was going to commit devious actions with. So I was like, oh, I have a perfect idea. I made a Tinder account, and I was like, all right, so I'm going to try my best to match with him. Now, he pretty much swiped right on everybody, but I was like, hey, man, you should get, unlimited Tinder. He's like, unlimited Tinder? Yeah, you get unlimited right swipes. And he was like, oh. And I was like, would you like some help paying for that? He was like, yeah, for sure. So I gave him, it was like $7.99 at the time that I did this. And, I gave him unlimited swipes. And I was like, perfect. He'll find me eventually. I got one of my friends, very good friend of mine. And I was like, hey, can I use your pictures for a Tinder thing? I'm trying to do something. She was like, what are you trying to do? I'm trying to use your photos to make sure my friend cleans the apartment so you match with him. Bada bing, bada boom. She was like, I guess, sure. So I was like, oh, thank God. So made this whole Tinder profile, used a fake name, all that jazz. Bada bing, bada boom. Match with him. Talking to him, he has no game. This man, if he was a game station, he'd be broken.
He'd be a water-damaged Nintendo 64 because there's no games being played with him. Not a single bit of game. As a matter of fact, if he was Uno, the cards would be ripped because the game can't be played. Man's just absolutely gameless. Never seen it in my life, like an Amish guy. No game at all. I was like, dude, it had no riz, no charisma, no sweat, nothing. No acronym could be used. No sweat, no slang, none of that. So I'm like, okay, I just had to act like everything he said was interesting. He started talking about cars. I learned way too much about him. He asked for my snap. I had to make a snap outside of the Tinder. It was so much work, but we organized a meetup. We met. It was like, oh yeah, I would love to come over. I'm so frilly. I'm so goofy. I just want to see you. And he was like, no problem. Of course I'll come over. You come over anytime you want to. I'd love to see you. I'm like, oh, it's on. He started cleaning the room like crazy. He was like, hey man, I gotta wash these dishes. Are you gonna be out today? I'm like, yeah. He was like, okay, I'm gonna clean the house. And I'm just like, do you want to clean my room too? Because you know, there might be a smell coming from my room. Back in the day, I couldn't smell, so I had no idea. He was like, yeah, I'll clean your room too. Just this girl's really pretty. Give me like, can you be gone for like 6 hours? I was like, for sure, I'll be gone for 6 hours. 6 hours, I come back. Girl never shows up. He's at home playing Halo 2, disappointed. House is spotless. House is absolutely spotless. He's just like, I don't know. I was supposed to meet up with this girl. I console him, talk him down, tell him, man, she's not worth it, bro. You're better than that. He's like, yeah. I was like, don't you feel better now the house is clean, though? Don't you feel better? He's just like, you know what? I do feel better. I feel great. And I'm going to try to keep it like this. He did not. I had to run that same scheme twice, actually. I had to do that 2 more times because he just would not keep the house clean. And you're probably thinking to yourself, why didn't I keep the house clean? Well, I did. I was the only one with a job. Right? I was the only one with a job. I was it. He just kind of stayed inside the house all day. I just kind of let him live there. But he was technically my roommate. So, yeah. Sucked. But man, that was just such a time. Such a time that was, wasn't it? I was walking in the gentrified part of Detroit, and I was just having a good time, having a casual stroll, and I look to the right, and I see a homeless dude getting harassed. He's getting blatantly harassed by the owner of what seems to be a smaller shop. So I walk over and I say, hey, why you messing with Unc, bro? Why you messing with Unc? And the dude says, this is your uncle? This is your uncle. And I said, yes, it's Unc. Unc, you good? He's like, man, I'm just trying to get some food. And I was thinking that he was inside the restaurant getting some food, but no, he went to the back to the trash can to try to look through the scraps and try to get some food. So I'm thinking to myself, you really gonna stop a man from going through a trash can? And I'm like, yeah, bro, sorry, Unc been on hard times ever since old girl left him, man. You gotta give him a second. Hold on, come on, Unc. And I take Unc to a different shop, and we sit down. And I'm like, bro, why was he harassing you? He said, I was going through the trash can looking for cans and food. Brother, come out, start hitting me with a broomstick. I was like, that's kind of messed up, actually. It's you don't want the trash. It's free stuff. It's trash. Like, he wants cans and stuff. He's trying to make money. That's messed up. So I start talking to Uncle. We start hanging out. We start chilling. So after a while, I'm trying to, try to get him a job, things of that nature. Taking him to my Planet Fitness because I got a black card. Have him as a guest, but you need an ID to be a guest. You need a phone and an email. He doesn't have any of that, so I take him to a library. I'm trying to do whatever I can to make this man get back on his feet because I don't feel like he deserves all this. I'm just doing my best to make sure he's a cool dude. After about a week of continually failing with this guy, he disappears for 3 days. And I'm outside of his tent. I'm like, man, where's he at? And I clean up his tent first day because he's not there. Second day I come back, he's also not there. I'm just perplexed. Where'd he go? Where'd Unc go? I'm looking around looking for Unc. 3 days pass. Unc come back. Unc come back a new man. He don't look dusty no more. His teeth are a little bit whiter, but still extremely yellow. I'm like, bro, Unc, where'd you go? He said, oh, I was cracking backs. I'm like, you was a chiropractor now? He was like, you can say that. You can say that. So I'm confused what's going on. A day passed. I see this nice, very nice, short, thick Caucasian woman. And she comes up to Unc and hugs him. And I'm like, oh, what's happened? What's going on? What seems to be the manner of this? This man found himself at an Arctic bunny. And I was like, how'd you do that, Unc? He was like, I begged. I was like, okay. Arctic bunny ends up straight up just taking him in, taking care of him. It was so nice. 2 months later, too much. It's gonna drop a TW for death right now. 2 months pass, and I don't see Unc for 2 months. 2 months pass, and I go to the Arctic Bunny house, 'cause I know where she lives at. And I go to her house, I'm just like, hey, have you seen Unc? He was like, Ronald? I'm like, yeah, Ronald, whatever. Oh, I haven't seen him in quite some time. I was like, when he's staying with you? Yeah, he was, but not anymore. A month passes. And I see like, I'm walking down the bridge, and I see down on the left, see like, like police and stuff like that, like cop cars and things of that nature. I'm just confused. And they're looking for like a body, it seems, because they got the searchlights on, it's dark outside. 4 days pass. I look on the news, because I'm outside a coffee shop. I look up, and I see his full name. I never knew his full name. See his full name. Passed. He didn't have a funeral. He didn't have anything. I don't know what happened between him and that Arctic Bunny. I can only infer and guess, but that broke me. That hurt. I loved Unc. He was a cool dude. I think about that a lot. That just messed me up. I think about that a lot.
I was dating a single mom one time, and she was outstanding. Fruit snacks galore. She had the entire package. It was beautiful. Then she eventually got sick of what I was. She got sick of my being in my presence, and it was okay. It was amicable. It wasn't anything nuts happening in the relationship. She simply said, I think we seek different things, and I understood that. However, I bonded with her son. Me and her son, every Tuesday, we'd hang out. We'd go to the park. It was amazing. And in the course of 2 months, I had hung out with this kid a variety of times. I had seen him throughout the to and fro. We had watched Ice Age 3 together. I had never seen Ice Age 3 at the time. Very emotional movie. I cried over Toy Story 3. I'm a very emotional kind of person, but that's besides the point. And this child was amazingly cracked at Fortnite. No build mode specifically. Had a great time playing with him. One of the greatest things that I had done in quite some time. And what am I to do? Now I lost my Fortnite partner. So, before we broke up, we did one last survey of the house, making sure all my toothpaste and knickknacks were picked up. I bought those apples. I grabbed those. I bought those Lunchables. I'll take that. And she said, that's just petty. I said, I'm hungry. I'm sorry. I don't have much money. I was flexing because you're beautiful. I apologize. Going through, I say one last goodbye to her son. I looked the son in the eyes and I say, son, I got to tell you something. He says, Dad. I said, don't call me that. I hurt my chest to hear that. I said, you want to exchange Fortnite stuff so we can still play together? He said, yeah. Wrote down a piece of paper, and I still play Fortnite with the kid. We going crazy on Fortnite every single week. We go crazy. I broke up with her. We left each other. Nothing, no connection between us. But me and her son, we still rock getting that battle pass. I don't know if that's weird or not. I have no idea if that's a crazy thing to do, because it's important to me. It's important to me to make sure we have a good relationship. I may not even talk to her. I haven't spoken to her in 2 years, I believe. 2 years. Maybe 3. 2 years has been quite some time. But me and her son will hit me up randomly and be like, hey, they got a new battle pass. New season just dropped. Hold on. I'll pop right on Fortnite. And I'll pop in with my patented Xbox remote right here. And we'll be logging in. I'm on PC. He's on PlayStation 4. I'm still happy that we can actually still play together. I'm happy it's free to play. I bought him the battle pass recently. Because he asked for it. He's doing good in school. He sent me his report card, and we actually chill out and have a good time. Having a great time with that. And I feel strange because he'll say statements that mess me up deeply. He'll say, yeah, I don't like the new guy my mom is dating. I said, I'm not here to hear that, man. I apologize. I'm not here to hear that. I don't want to hear about that. He said, why? My mom she's going through a rough patch right now. Don't you care about her? I do care about her. I really do. I care deeply about what she is and what she has going on as a person. However, we are down right now. I need shields. You got shields on. You do have shields on you. That's important to me. I got to prioritize what I care about in this existence. And I can't be worrying about your mom right now. He said, that's understandable. On your left. On my left. Get him. Boom. Is it strange? I'm asking you. Is it strange to play Fortnite with this child of my ex? Is it a strange thing to do? I think it's perfectly reasonable. I say he's a good combatant. I say that I found a lifelong friend in a Fortnite companion. I may never see this kid again. They moved all the way across the country. I may never have an interaction with them. One day we might see each other. at a little event like an esports event. He might even go to the top of the world. I have no idea. He may not be that good. I'm just hyping him up for no reason. He's not really that good. But he's fun for me. It's fun to play the game with him. Now, I have received a few messages from the father saying stop playing the game with my son. Now, this is the first I had ever heard from the father. I was a little bit confused. I thought this man was coming out of nowhere. And he now plays Fortnite with us too. We all play Fortnite together. We got a 3-man squad of Fortnite people just going nuts. It's crazy. And it's fun. I never thought I would bond with the dad and the son. I don't even talk to the girl anymore. I'm not sure what she's doing with her life. Hopefully it's great. If you ever see this video, I hope your life is good. Samantha, I hope your life is fine. However, me, your baby daddy, and your son, the 3-man squad, we're unstoppable. We're amazing. We all got Spider-Man skins. We're doing outstanding. I have Spider-Man 2099. I bought your son Miles Morales. And your husband, for some reason, plays Spider-Gwen. I know why he left you. It was because he cheated on you with a guy. He told me about that. Yeah, he's actually in a very happy relationship. Just want to let you know that if you're streaming my videos right now, that's the last thing right there. Let you know that. You guys remember those Xbox lobbies where you'd hear the entirety of someone's life story in the background going on? You'd hear, oh, you're cheating on me with David? David does it better than you. I didn't know you were bisexual. I'm not. I dated you as a beard. And you'd learn this entire soap opera of a situation in the span of a few moments. You'd learn deep, intricate details about somebody's life. Well, that happened to me during a match of Fortnite duo. See, I really wasn't that into Fortnite. I don't like the build mode, but I do like the no build mode. So, I was playing no build mode, and I was playing with a random who had his mic on, open chat, open mic, everybody could hear him, the world was hearing him. He was actually a politician in my eyes because the way he spoke, it convinced me to be his partner. It convinced me to be his ally. It convinced me to be his soulmate, his teammate, his one and only, his actual buddy for the rest of my life. So, we're playing, we're doing great. He has a Batman Who Laughs skin, and I have my favorite skin of all time, which is the default skin because I didn't pay any money for Fortnite. So, we're chilling, we're rocking, we're vibing, we're having the time of our lives. We're comrades, buddies. We're members of Soviet Russia. We're brothers of Allah. We are Christian homies. Chilling, rocking this match, dropping it, doing great. He's got 10 kills. I've got 4. He's carrying me. He is just actually put me on his back Yoshi status. I am the straw that's going to break his back, though, because I fell 4 times. He picked me up each time, tossing me in the water, telling me, hey, I need you to do this specifically. Hey, do that. This man was my messiah, and I was simply a small follower of the Jesus Christ that he was. So, well, close to the end of the match, we're down to the last 20 people. There's 10 squads left. He proceeds to speak to somebody while speaking to me. I hear in the background, Anthony, is this your dirty underwear on the floor covered with doo-doo? And I'm like, Anthony? He's like, what's up? Is somebody talking to you? Don't worry about that. I just hear a smack. Boom! It sounds like he got hit in the head with something. And then I see his character glitch out and stop moving, and he starts moving again. I imagine he's dropped his controller because I could feel the intensity through the mic. I was like, Anthony, you good? He was like, hey, man, I'm fine. Don't worry about me. And I just hear this girl, this is the 15th time, Anthony. I am so sick of you just leaving them all over the floor for me to pick up each time. And I'm like, oh my God, this is intense. And he says very patiently and silently, I will wash them when I'm done with my Fortnite match. All right, so we're just get my 2 people up there. I'm marking them. I'm like, oh, yeah, you're marking them. Yeah, I don't even care about the match. It doesn't matter if we win. I don't even care if we win. He's having a time of his horrifying life right now. I need to figure out what's going on with my boy, my friend, my buddy. So, I just hear those spiel arguments, and he's just getting headshots. He's doing great. He's doing amazing. I've never seen somebody so dedicated to the cause, so into the vein, so into the vine. I'm like, oh my goodness, this man is built different. He's built expeditiously. He's composed of different stuff than I am. His composition is made of DNA that I can't even fathom. And last 3 squads, I just hear, I can't believe you would do this to me. I stopped listening to it for a second. I imagine it was something that has to do with his underwear still. Maybe it's something else. I don't even know what's going on. I'm perplexed. I need to know. I'm like, Anthony, you going to talk to her? No. We have to finish this match. Oh, okay. He sizes up. She's like, I'm leaving. Bye, Anthony. He says, I'll talk to you soon. All right, so the last team's over there. All right, last team's over there. He defeats them effortlessly. Just no skin off of his back. And he says, drop friend request? Yeah, drop friend request for sure. He's like, I gotta deal with something. You know how it is. I'm like, I don't. And he disconnects. I'm like, what? Anthony, you haven't been on Fortnite
in 7 months. I need you. I need you, please, Anthony. Come back, please.
Like a middle-aged, divorced, 35-year-old dad, I like to go to dinner by myself sometimes at restaurants and just leave ridiculous tips in order to make people feel good. So I'm out at IHOP, minding my black business, just sitting alone, drinking a coffee, eating some pancakes and waffles, having a great time. And across the way, I see a man and his wife angry at the waitress that I have as well. I'm a little bit confused. And he says, maybe if you weren't such an idiot, you would have got my food correct. And I say, oh, whoa, that's a little bit crazy. And she says, I'm sorry, I apologize, sir. She's being very respectable. And he says, well, this really affects if you're going to get a tip or not. I hope you know that. And I said, okay. A little bit strange. Don't know what's going on. And she comes over to me and she says, is everything doing good? And I said, you want me to deal with him? I can deal with him right now. And she says, no, he's always like this. Always like this. This is a regular customer? It's like, yeah, he hates his wife so much, but he yells at me and it's okay. And I said, are you okay? And she says, it's just waitressing. And I say, I got this, don't worry. I get up and I'm like, hey man, stand up. And he says, excuse me? I said, you gotta leave, man, I'm sorry. And I'm not a big dude, I'm 5'6". I'm not tall at all, I'm 5'5", 5'6". I'm not tall at all, I'm like 5'5". And he's 5'10", he's bigger, he's like 6 foot. And I say, get up out of here, man, you gotta go. He says, I'm not going anywhere. And immediately, I spit on him. I just immediately, right in his face. He says, oh, what? And because he was being rude to the waitress, so I immediately hocked a loogie upon his forehead. I feel like that was correct. He gets up and the wife says, I've never seen somebody audibly gasp in my life. I've never seen this. This was the most high middle class, upper middle class reaction I've ever seen in my life. She just says, and he gets up and says, all right, buddy. He gets up like this. I immediately grab his chair from under him and he falls forward onto his food. He falls like this, and I say, all right, and I grab him by his neck, I grab him back, and pull him outside. And he says, stop, get off me. And I said, nah, let's go, let's get up out of here, let's get up out of here. And I push him out, and I say, hey, hand me the key. And there's a key lock on the door. And I grab the key, and I lock it, and I say, you out. And I said, how much is this food? And she said, 42. I said, 40, what did he get, a steak? I was like, all right, I'll pay for it, don't worry. Hey, you are not welcome in this establishment ever again, ever. And she says, thank you. I ended up getting a lifetime ban from the restaurant. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I thought I was pulling some hero stunt. I thought this was how movies worked. I have a lifetime ban from that IHOP. I can no longer be in there. I am not allowed to ever go back in the IHOP because I attacked somebody and the cops got on me about it. That was a little bit difficult. Thankfully, nobody pressed charges. They just said he was being rude. And I explained the situation. The cops said, you can't just hurt people. You can't do that. It's not legal to do that. I said, that makes sense. That just makes sense. That's real. That's understandable. However, the waitress, she was very happy. She was very happy for what I did. She was over the moon about me defending her. She was. So I got a lifetime ban for attacking the guy at the IHOP. I no longer can go there. They recognized me immediately because of this little thing I got on my head. It's not like I can sneak in and wear a costume. I'm never getting my hair changed. Unless I get some braids and wear a bald cap, something like that. But I'm not even in that state anymore, so it's not really a concern. I was confused. I thought I was doing a great and just deed. So, after a while, she ends up hitting me up on Facebook because she finds my Facebook and says, hey, I got a better job now where I don't have to waitress and deal with bad customers. I just want to say, you saved me. I said, I ain't saved nobody. She said, no, you really saved me. You helped me out deeply. And I should learn to respect myself a bit more and not deal with rude customers like that. Waitressing is difficult and I shouldn't have to live off tips. And I'm probably going to do a lot better now. I'm really happy that you really showed me that people actually do care out here. I said, nobody has done that for you? And maybe nobody did it for her because she was not the best looker. I have no idea. Maybe nobody cared about her because she didn't have pretty privilege. But I just think it's disrespectful to do that to somebody that is just doing a job. Yeah, she messed the door up, but she can go back and get it fixed. It's not like you're going to die of starvation, man. It's not like your entire life is over because you got too much pancake mix or something. I don't know. I don't even know what the mess up order was. I have no idea what the bad order was. It didn't seem like that big of a thing to yell and call somebody an idiot over. That seems a bit rude. That just seems a bit ridiculous. That's how I feel personally. Anyways, I don't know where that guy is. I don't know where that girl is, but I can't go back to the IHOP. I think there's an inherent issue with masculinity. One of my friends came over to my house after enjoying the festivities. He Ubered home. And I said, hey, call me when you get home safe. He said, I'm straight. I said, okay. Make sure you call me when you get home. Said I want to make sure you're safe. He said, weird. So he gets home And it's been an hour, and I'm confused. So I called him. He said, bro, what's up? Did I forget something? I said, no, you didn't call me to make sure you were safe home. He said, bro, that's weird. I said, that's weird? How is that weird? He said, man, I'm not going to let you know my updates, bro. That's just make sure I'm good. No, I'm good, man. If I don't show the next day, I don't show the next day, man. Don't worry about me. And he hung up. I was confused. So I'm asking everybody else at the festivities, my little household get-together. I say, hey, do you guys think it's weird to check up on somebody when they get home? The guy said yes. The two women over there said, no, I always check up on my girlfriends. I always check up on them, make sure they're safe. This starts this whole discussion inside of my living room about whether it is straight to check up on your friends. I didn't think I would ever have a conversation like this in all of my days. I didn't think this was a real conversation we were all having. I thought I had entered the twilight zone of strange things to bring up in a little party discussion. And everybody was on the assumption that we should, call each other after the phone call had ended, because you never know what could happen. You never know when the last phone call is going to happen. I've lost too many people in my lives, and I stay in Detroit. Like, a lot of things are bad going on in the confines of what's going on here. So I'm a little bit confused why you wouldn't check on your friend. I feel like checking up on your friend is a courtesy you give to everybody. I feel like men should check up on each other. I feel like we should call each other up, have a good mental health check-in, make sure we're all fine and dandy. Be like, hey, man, heard you go through something difficult. You want to talk about it and express our emotions, because if you're not lucid with your explanations, or at least you don't have a way to vent it, you end up internalizing that and cannibalizing that, and that gets difficult. So I called my friend up 2 days later after he got home, and he said, hey, man, why do you want to call up on me? You like me or something? I said, I enjoy your presence. I would enjoy it if you were safe. If you are saying that, I do enjoy you. You're one of the cool people I encounter in the day-to-day basis. He said, oh, man, I just think it's weird to call up and check on me, because that's something I do to my moms. You do that to your mother? He said, my mom's, yeah, my mom, I call up and check up on her because she be going through mental stuff. I said, do you go through mental stuff? He said, no. I said, nothing, not a single thing. He said, I lost my job last week, and my girl, I feel like she cheating on me, and my son don't respect me, and I keep losing in Warzone. I said, okay, tell me about it. And he begins to passively tell me all the things about saying, and then after he explains this whole cavalcade of traumatic issues, you know what he says? I get through it. Okay, do you want help? Nah, I get through it. Don't worry about me. I get through it. That's the saddest end of a sentence, end of a trauma that I've ever heard in my entire life. He doesn't express himself. He doesn't tell me what he's going through. He doesn't tell me how he's sad. He doesn't tell me what his mental is happening right now. He doesn't tell me. And I think it's because a lot of my guy friends, I actually don't know their name. That's a little bit of an issue. I actually have no idea what their names are. I have a lot of guy friends who I just call buddy or pal or hey in the bar. We'll go to a bar and I'll be like, it's you. Like, it's me. Yeah, it's the guy. He doesn't even give his name, as if he's hiding some well-known secret, like a middle name, but it's their first name, and I don't know it. It's a little bit confusing. I don't know what's going on there. I am terrified, scared, flabbergasted even, that we as men don't communicate with each other more. I believe we have some unspoken bond or communication where it's a masculine trait to just get through it and don't bother each other with our bigger issues that are going on mentally with our lives. Why is that viewed as feminine to express our mental health issues? Why is that viewed as feminine? I would love if my guy friends express their mental health to me. I have a few guy friends that do. They tell me when they're depressed. They tell me they can't make it. They tell me, hey, I'm not feeling up for it right now. Some of my friends need hugs. You know how horrible it would be if you couldn't go to your friend for a hug? For some form of comfort. Something of that variety. You know how horrifying that would be? I feel like there is this big issue with masculinity where it's ruining what it means to be a person. Because you're being viewed as a man first and nothing else. Not even a person. And it's weird, and it's detrimental, and it hurts.